All right, can everyone hear me? Just want to make sure before we start. All right. So good morning, everyone. My name is Tavon Braxton. I'm the DOT Deputy Director of Operations. Welcome to the meeting of the Baltimore City Board of Licensing for Towing Services. We're glad to have you. Members, please turn on your cameras if you are able to. And as Mr. Diaz mentioned, we will be recording today's meeting. Today's meeting will involve official business of the board, including permitting. Members of the public not being addressed by the board may not participate in these proceedings, nor may request information for those being addressed by the board. So we will first begin by taking attendance. The board members today are myself as the chair, Tavon Braxton for transportation. We have Mr. Lieutenant Charles James from the police department. We have a proxy for Ms. Carla Neal, Ms. Donna Turner. And we have Councilman Antonio Glover from the City Council.
Hey, ask you a question. You said Miss McNeil, she's not present.
She's not present.
So there's no vote for her.
We're joined by Ms. Donna Turner, and she was the Director of Finance approved her joining on behalf of Ms. Neely.
She could, but she can't vote on anything.
Well, no, Ms. Turner is attending here to represent the Director of Finance, so she will be able to vote.
She can't. How?
I can follow up with you offline, but yeah, she's just representing the Director of Finance today. So
how can she vote if she's not a member of the board?
Well, all of the agency representatives are just representing agency heads. So Mr. Braxton is representing, the DOT director. Lieutenant James is representing the police commissioner. Just attending on behalf of the agency heads.
I understand they're attending on behalf of the agency heads, but what I'm saying is for the actual vote. So Ms. McNeil is a part of the board.
That's correct.
He's officially a part of the board. So how can we substitute? I can't, me as a council person, I can't have my chief of staff substitute me on this board.
Well, the main difference there is the ordinance requires that the council representative is a member of the city council. So it has to be either the council president or another member of the council. The agency representatives are either the agency head or their designee. So the Director of Finance is designating for this meeting Donna Turner as their designee.
Can you send that to me as well, please?
Absolutely, I can send that to you right now, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Tavon. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Councilman. You raised a good point. I was questioning it myself, and I was wondering, would it be possible if we could get confirmation from the law department before we proceed? Because I would hate to go through this and not be formalized.
Yeah, I think we ran into the same issue the last time we had Councilman Dorsey on with us, and we didn't have enough people from the board, and we couldn't do the vote.
Yeah, but I think in that instance, I don't think there was a proxy or representative, or maybe it was the case.
Again,
when you said you guys had Ron Dorsey on, you talking about prior to me becoming a board member?
No, he was just attending, and he raised a concern.
He was attending as just a citizen. He couldn't attend as a board member.
He was attending as a member of the public.
Yeah, the public.
He raised a concern during us taking questions about
us voting on an issue.
Yeah.
Without all the board members.
Okay, so just to your point, council member, the board is comprised of the Director of Finance or their designee, the Director of Transportation or their designee, the Police Commissioner or their designee, and the president of the city council or a council member designee. The issue we ran into is that if you weren't able to attend, it would have to be another member of the city council designated by the president of the city council. So it couldn't be someone from outside the city council filling in for you.
No,
But
I understand. I get it. I just wanted to see that was case. What you just mentioned, just not for me, but also for the rest of the members of the board. So Tavon, everybody
right.
has the same. Yeah, we just want to see what you quoted, is actual what it is. That's all. You can send it over to us.
Okay. I can put that part of the code in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, we'll proceed under the premise that, you know, the proxies from the representative agencies will suffice. Additionally, we're joined by Mr. Michael Brady, our claims investigator, Mr. Luciano Diaz, our policy analyst, and Mr. Christian McNeil, our other legislative liaison. Actually, I don't see Mr. Okay, yes, he was Brady. Twice, actually. Okay, so in that vein, we have reached a quorum, and we'll get started. Does someone have something to say? Okay. All right, so our first item is we want to vote to adopt January 3rd's meeting minutes. So first we will vote to approve the minutes from the meeting on January the 3rd, 2025. I'm sorry, January the 3rd, 2025. The meetings were previously shared with the board members for review. Board members, I'd like to make a motion to vote. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. I'll start. I vote yay. Mr. Lieutenant Charles James.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Donna Turner.
Yes.
Councilman Glover.
No.
All right. So the minutes are not adopted.
Councilman Glover, do you have any recommendations on the January 3rd minutes?
I just want to. I just don't want to move forward without clarifying the individual that's taking a piece of another board member before we have an actual vote. I want to make sure this is accurate.
Okay. Would you like me to check in with the law department, give them a call, see, get their confirmation?
Yes, I appreciate that.
All right, I'll do that now.
So would the group mind holding while we do this? Because there's no need to ensue additional votes if we don't clear this up. So if you can be patient with us a minute, we'd appreciate it.
All right. I just confirmed with a lawyer at the law department, and it is okay to proceed with Ms. Turner since she was approved in writing by the Director of Finance to attend on their behalf. And Councilman Glover, let me know if that's sufficient.
That's cool. I mean, you got documented, it's recorded. So you said that that's what it is from the law department. Okay. We can proceed.
All right, so do we redo the vote for the minutes based on, you know, this new information? If that was the premise for voting against it? Okay. All right, we'll shelve that issue. We'll move on to item 2. All right, we want to vote to approve the renewal of the towing applications. So today we will be reviewing all 11 trespass towing applications to determine whether or not they have been updated and are in compliance with state law. As a reminder, we would like to reiterate the rules the board adopted in December 23rd meeting regarding trespass towing fee schedules in accordance with the fee cap established by the state and local laws. So just to reiterate, the maximum towing fee of $280, a maximum storage fee of $50 for the 48 hours after initial 12-hour grace period, and $15 per subsequent 24-hour period. In other words, $0 for hours 0 through 12, $50 for hours 12 through 60, and $15 every 24 hours thereafter. An administrative fee that may be charged 72 hours after the applicant has made vehicle available for retrieval, unless vehicle owner arranges to retrieve the vehicle. Fee schedules were sent out to applicants outlining these guidelines. And to be compliant, applicants had to resubmit their fee schedules using the provided form. We found 9 applications to be non-compliant because they did not resubmit their forms and or their fees exceeded those provided for in the law. So the 2025 permit cycle will not begin until all applications have been given final approval or disapproval. And so we'll start with the compliant applications. I see a hand raised.
Hello, this is Charles Parrish. Mr. Tavon, thank you, but there was a motion by a board member, Councilman Glover, that those fees were not to be moved forward in the January 3rd meeting. The minutes don't have to be approved for a motion to be carried. It was unanimous 4-0. We were not to move forward on that. His motion was we were not moving forward on the fee schedule until the board was completely filled. That's why we did not turn them in. There was a motion on the board to which I brought to Mr. Diaz's attention. You can't ignore the motion under Robert's rule.
No, not just that, but you know, even though the deadline was dated for the 17th, there's still an extended period. I think it's 15 days for applicants to get their paperwork in. Am I correct, Tavon, on that?
No, we gave several well beyond 15 days to submit the fee schedules.
Mr. Diaz, what was it that you quoted earlier today?
So, Councilman Glover, any applicants who are not renewed today will have at least 15 days of written notice before a subsequent hearing is held.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's suggesting that, well, not suggesting, but the regulations state that no final approval or disapproval can take place without a hearing, for all the applicants. And we have to provide a 15-day notice for that hearing.
Got you. But so even us moving forward, we filed, well, I filed a motion back in December that we hold off until we completely had everyone on the board. Again, I know that we can still vote on these items with not having the majority of the members of the board, but I think that it was just best that we had someone to represent the towing industry, someone to represent the management part of it, and also someone from the mayor's that he can appoint. And we didn't have those individuals on, and I think it was because of the fees. We're voting on the fees, and I think what I wanted to add was that, instead of the 72-hour, that we reduced that to 48, because by law we can do that. Far as the waiting process of the admin fees, but also that, instead of us lowering it to the 240, keeping it basically at the 350 mark, in which it is, because of the fact that, prices of everything has gone up, but we're not taking in the fact that the city of Baltimore, once a vehicle is getting towed to the impound lot or whatever, those fees start immediately. Like, there's a tow fee, there's a administration fee, and there's a storage fee immediately. And on the towing side of the private sector, we're asking to reduce their towing fees to 180, which is by law. They can double. And the standards that we stated was the city only tows for $140 to $150 per tow, depending on what side of town, the east or west side of town. And by law, they can double. So the double was at the 240 mark, which we, prior to this, had it at 350. And when I'm filing a motion, is that we keep things the way that they are, because soon this board is going to be demolished.
So I think there are things that the board has the discretion to change, and then there are also things that we don't have the discretion to change. And so by state law, this board was attempting to make all towers in compliance. Now, if rates have to change, it's my understanding that that has to be done through legislation and through city council.
Yeah, it do.
Yeah.
But we're changing from the 350 down to 280. And that didn't come through. That didn't go through the council. We didn't approve that through the council.
Okay.
We, the board, don't have the autonomy to reduce or to add on to the fees that are already in place. So the 350 mark, we're now asking to reduce it down to $280. Correct? If I'm not mistaken, I think it's 280.
Which is the cap established by the state law.
Yeah, but we were at 350, but we're reducing it now to 280.
Yeah.
Mr. Diaz, can you step in if do you have anything to say? I mean, I know is mainly, you know, Tavon and myself having a conversation, but can you step in? I mean,
Sure.
to
So the $280 is not a limit that the board is establishing. The $280 is a limit that is established through the city code and the state law. That is the limit that the board should always have been following. And in previous years, the board approved fees that were in excess of that limit because of a lack of current understanding. The board should never have approved those higher fees. And what's happening now is essentially the board trying to come into legal compliance with what the limits should be. And yes, the board has no autonomy to raise the fees or establish caps on the fees. All the board members are allowed to do is vote on the fee schedules, or I'm sorry, in the applications. But again, the 280 is just the cap based on the city and state law.
what about, I mentioned early on, Mr. Diaz, of the 72-hour window now being closed down to the 48-hour. That can
So
be put into law.
yeah, the board did raise the time frame before uh, the admin fee can be charged from 48 to 72 hours. The board can change that. The minimum under state law is 48 hours. If board members want to vote to do that, they can revert that back down to 48 hours. But just as a reminder, the admin fee is not supposed to be revenue generating. It is simply supposed to cover the cost of sending out those certified mail notifications to vehicle owners. So again, it's not supposed to be a revenue generator. It's simply supposed to cover the cost of providing written notice to the vehicle owners. And that's under the state law.
Um, I was reading something for 1 second.
While we're waiting, Mr. Parrish, did you want to speak?
If I can, and excuse me if I jump around when I'm speaking, but this fact of state law and city code, and I hate to say it, but Mr. Diaz, and you guys are wrong. The state law to which this all came about when Councilman Dorsey was on the board and he was trying to get it reduced. He even went to the Annapolis and tried to get the word fees under 2110A changed to the letter fee. The Environmental and Transportation Subcommittee didn't pass it. They weren't going to get involved with it, and they weren't going to drop an S. The way this fee of $350 came up, which is when Councilman Curran was on the board, when in 2012, when the state law changed, 2110A changed and it went statewide, it used to only affect Baltimore City and Baltimore County. When it went statewide, we had a meeting between the board, Councilman Curran, and the towers. And we were working out under the city code transportation subtitle 22 for trespassing. Under 22, I believe it's 9 or 8. I get it confused. It's under 8 charges. If you go down to C, these charges shall not, B, permitted basis. These charges may be measured by mileage, time, type of service, or may be measured on a flat fee basis. Under the Attorney General's opinion, to which Dorsey had asked Mayor Scott to get, they identified it that, and we've never argued, that the 2 times was to apply to the towing rate, whether it's what the municipality charges or what's authorized. Of course, what's authorized under the police accident towing is the 150, plus they allow any special equipment such as dollies and stuff that is needed to transport, to which city towers do charge. We went in 2014 with a flat fee basis. We all agreed. And in 2014, we established the fee $350. At that time in 2012, the task force had recommended $400. Of course, legislation brought it down to $250 as a state law if the municipalities didn't have their own rates. So we got to the flat fee basis. Why is it a flat fee? Well, the admin fee that is ordinary fee that is automatically charged, as Councilman Glover has said, plus the $50 for the first 48 hours, whether that car's there for 1 minute or not. That's an ordinary fee, which gave you the the 220 or the 230 automatically when that car hits the lot. At that time, towers were trying to charge $440, to which that was the only meeting I've missed in the 30 years I've been in this industry. And I immediately called the next day when I got back in town and said, no, we can't do that. $350 is what we were capped at. So I agree with the 2 times is only for the towing, but we're on a flat fee basis. Now you have to go all the way back to 1999 and 2000 when Justin King was the lawyer representing and Mr. Rice was in the DOT. We at that time took out where we itemized our costs as the city yard does. What we're charging when we impound a car is an impound fee. It's not a towing fee. That impound fee meets the law requirement of a flat fee basis. It's all inclusive. The notification fee, to which Mr. Diaz is talking about, that you all were talking about, the 48 and the 72. In the state law, I don't see where it says 48. It says we have to notify within 3 days. But I mean, if you want to reduce it, that's fine. Doesn't bother me. But and it's supposed to be actual cost for the notification. That's under paragraph 4. But that flat fee basis was all inclusive. In other words, if we used dollies, if we had a winch it, whatever we did, it didn't matter. We could not charge above $350 for the impound fee. Then next, we had a 24-hour a day storage. Well, trespassing, though, it is in state law, the first 12, and city code too, the first 12 hours, we can't charge, but it's still part of the first 24 hours. So from 0 to 12, we don't get to charge the storage fee. If you go into city code under the police, maximum C says $50 a day storage. The medallion towers are charging anywhere from $38 to $44 a day immediately. We're open 24/7. City yard and police towers are not. They're open roughly 55 to 56 hours a week. So with that storage, so the first 0 to 12 was free. 12 to 24, if the maximum was $50, which you put on your license, mine was 25. So I would then, on the 12th hour to the 24th, I could charge the 25. Then the next 12 to 20, the next 24 to 48 was 25, 48 to 70, and so on, every day thereafter. It wasn't first 12 hours free, and then you start a 24-hour or a 48-hour period. That was never the case. It's never been the case. And state law doesn't say that. City code doesn't say that. City code and state law is supporting what I'm actually saying. So the fact that we keep saying, or an individual keeps requesting that we're not following state law, we are following state law. And the fee that we have is based on City Code 22-8, a flat fee basis. Not an itemized. And that was changed in 1999, 2000, like I said, when Justin King was representing the law department and Mr. Rice was the president. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I mean, I'll only add that, I know we're sometimes making the comparison with the medallion towers and the city towers. But there's a pursuit to align those corrective actions as well. If they are not in compliance with the state law, then those need to be changed as well. So this is not really the forum for that. This is for the trespass towers, but I just wanted us to be mindful that sometimes making the comparison is not always relevant. I'm sorry, did someone say something? So Councilman Glover, can you repeat what your proposal was in this regard? Because for us to ensue and continue to vote and, if there's any ambiguity regarding, what was established in the prior meetings, then I don't want this to be done in vain without providing some clarity about how we should proceed. So just because you just repeat what you proposed.
I'm sorry. Tavon, give me 1 second. This is I'm just getting a call from the law from our attorney and city council. So
Yeah.
Can you give me 1 second?
No, that's perfect. I mean, because they're the people that are advising us. So yeah.
Hey guys, so if you can just give it 1 second. We got the law department from the council's coming on. He's trying to weigh on right now, just to get some insight and just to kind of make sure that everything is in the best interest of myself and also for everybody to be equally shared amongst the towers, the administration, and the citizens.
I appreciate that, Councilman. We'll wait.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
I'm here.
Hello?
Are you on? Are you on, Aaron?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All right. So we could go ahead and move forward. I think If you don't mind, Charles, can you kind of reiterate some things that you just spoke about? I just want to make sure we get some clarity across this entire meeting. So, Charles, if you mind jumping on board again and kind of clarifying some things, not really getting into the medallion tone and this and that, because that's something totally different, but we're talking about the flat fees in reference to the city and what this board is suggesting.
The tow board established when the law changed in 2012 and went statewide. There was discussion with the tow board at that time. Was Councilman Curran was the council representative on the board, and we had brought up that the trespass towing, because the state law says fees, ordinary fees and or authorized fees, which are two different things. Authorized fees are $150 and $50 a day storage. And then you have the city yard, which has an ordinary fee of $220 or $230. And then you have the police towers that have their fees, which are following the $150 and the $38. Under the trespassing subtitle 22-8, it says for the charges for us, when we file the permitted basis, the charges may be measured by mileage, time, type of service, or may be measured on a flat fee basis. You have to go back to 1999, 2000, when Mr. Rice and Justin King were on the board at that time, law department and the chairman of the board. When they didn't want us itemizing, it was to be a all-inclusive impoundment fee, not a towing fee, but an impoundment fee. And that basis was based on that flat fee. Now move up to 2014, when Councilman Curran, at that time, the way the fees were being talked about and how it was being broke down, we all came to a conclusion that $350 would be the maximum that would be allowed as the initial impoundment fee. Some towers did it, some did less. The storage fee, on this storage, it was the $50 a day if you chose to do that. Some of us did less. But it was 0 to 12 would be free. 12 to 24 would be the storage fee. And then, of course, every day, every 24 hours thereafter, you were allowed to charge that maximum. That was the only two fees that we could charge. We weren't allowed to charge for dollies and all the other stuff. It was an all-inclusive impound fee. And then, of course, the third fee, if a vehicle remained in our lot after 72 hours, we then had to do the notification process. Before, we used to be able to charge whatever we submitted. State law in 2012 changed that it had to be the actual itemized cost. We had to be able to show and itemize if a customer, whoever it would be, the registered owner, lien holder, or the insurance company, hey, how did you get to this fee? Here's my itemized breakdown. That as well we submitted to the tow board for approval and licensing. That's all been since 2012, the itemization, the drop fee. That's never changed, and we're not disagreeing with that. What we're disagreeing on is reducing the 350 to 280 because they're saying that's the law when it doesn't meet state law. It's not what's in the law for the city code. The city code does allow and should allow to stay at 350, what we've already had. And the storage, I don't agree with either. They're saying state law. They're saying the first 12 is free, and then you got to wait 48 hours. You can charge a flat fee of whatever they were saying on there, $50. And then it goes down to $15 a day after 60 hours. That's nowhere written. It's not anywhere written. That's an interpretation by someone, and it's not what the law is, nor what has been approved by this board in the past. Did I cover everything?
Thank you, Mr. Parrish. Councilman Glover, who did join us?
Anna Griffith from the city council president's office.
Okay, thank you.
Were you able to hear any of the testimony from Mr. Charles Parrish?
Yes, I heard all of what he said. It tracks along lines with what you were explaining to us in our earlier meeting this morning, Councilman Glover.
So Tavon, pretty much when I'm the motion that we followed the motion from early on and be, but also just following the motion to keep the rate at as opposed to on rates, because if we look at things, it's even on the state level, there's one code that states even inflation that every often those could be heightened, but they agree living there today because of the fact that as I look at the cost of things have gone up dramatically. Like, I mean, fees on these vehicles. I've actually did some research on a lot of this stuff, and fees are going up dramatically. You know, based off the CPI, the 350 from 2012 would be actually 487 in today's money. So for us to reduce as opposed to even keeping things the way they are, it's like basically is disingenuous to those that are providing, helping us when it comes to the city of Baltimore, removing the vehicles, from off our street, but also having to keep in mind that the price, gas, fuel, and these individuals standing with 24 hours a day, is like kind of disheartening to even see that the price has been actually be reduced to 280. So I'm making the keep things where they are. And that was part of the conversation and part of the motion that I pushed back in December because we didn't have a full board. I wanted to make sure that it was evenly across the entire board. But I do understand that all board members don't have to be present in order for us to pursue moving on with any agreements or disagreements. And that's the reason why when we filed the motion, we voted, anonymously to make sure in place, because pretty soon this board is going to be demolished. But and that's the reason why I say we need to keep these rates exactly where they are, as opposed to the board making these decisions on cutting, the fees on these tours.
No, I completely understand, Councilman. I mean, I guess the question is, has the law been misinterpreted? According to our advisement, there's no way around the going beyond the cap. Now, if there's any validity to the things that Mr. Parrish is explaining, I think that just kind of needs to be established. Otherwise, there's not a clear path forward. And, our voting on anything regarding the applications and the fee schedules would just be moot unless that is clear,
The law,
and concise, and agreement to all of the members.
but the law says fees, not fee. That S is a difference. It's fees, not fee. So we're talking about, so it's the fees. These fees can be, we're talking about the fees, not a particular fee.
Completely understand. The very
and me myself, I speak on behalf of as a council person, just trying to minimize and work with both sides, the administration, also with the towing industry, and just being fair. It's being fair, because we need these individuals that are doing the work that they're doing, in reference to the city of Baltimore, but we don't need it to be at a point where we're trying to minimize and lower their fees. It's just not there. It's not suitable. It's just not the right thing to do. And we as a board don't have the power to even do those things. It was already, stressed. It was already stated that the 350 was the flat rate fee. I think we're here now because of the fact that the city of Baltimore, the moment they take a vehicle off the street, they are charging, the administration fee and storage fees immediately. The city of Baltimore, when we tow a vehicle off the streets, we don't have the jurisdiction of telling the towers to drop the vehicle, and the customer or the person that's getting that ticket is giving a half amount of the drop fee. The city of Baltimore doesn't do that, but these private tours have to do that, and it's just not fair. And that's why I'm asking that we as a body even moving forward, because again, you got to keep in mind that we keep things just the way they are, and we don't make any recommendations on moving in any other direction.
There's a member of Quick Response has their hand up.
Yes, sir. Gordon Kelly with Quick Response Towing. Over here is my partner, Robert Carroll. We're both on. I think what Mr. Glover, Councilman Glover, is trying to say here is that something was changed in the word fee and fees the last councilman that was in. But for the 25 years I've been around this business, and I know Charlie's been around a little longer than me, it's always been, and I believe it still says it in the law, double the fees that Baltimore City charges when the car comes across the line. And so when a car comes into Baltimore City and it's $140 or $150, whatever it is for the towing fee, and then they add $90 on it immediately for storage and admin, whether it's picked up 10 seconds later or 3 days later, that it was that whole thing. If a person goes down 5 minutes later to pick their car up at the city yard, 5 minutes later, it's $140 plus $90, and that would be what? $230 there. And what they did was they went by double the fees was $460, but nobody wanted to charge that 12 years ago. It was just too much. So in a tow meeting with Councilman Curran, who was an advocate for the city and wanted the fees lowered, he suggests that we charge $350 as a whole fee for everything. Unlike the city that can charge for dollies, which might be $7,500, taping windows up with people's expensive cars when they come in, or any car, if it rains, or any other kind of job we have to do, unlock the car, if the e-brake is on or something like that, we don't charge all those extras like the city's allowed to do. Like Charlie was saying earlier, winching, or if a car's been in an accident or whatever, but the fee and fees thing here is what the previous councilman, that was his idea of what that meant, is that just the towing fee gets doubled. And that's where you would come with the 280. But the fees, and correct me if I'm wrong, Charlie, I mean, you're the big guy with the law. But to my understanding, after being in this business for many years, it was always before 4 years ago or so, when the other council was there, every other council person, every other chairman, every other lawyer, every other person that was on the board always had the understanding that it was double the fees. They're trying to take an S out of there now and just break it down and only double half of the fees instead of the tire fees.
Can't you pick any fee?
Right. So in that case, that is the law. If Mr. Diaz wants to talk about the law, tell him to stop taking that S off of fee. It's fees that the city charges upon receiving a car. Fees. It always said S. And Charlie, I don't know if you want to get on there, I believe it still says that. Double the fees, not double the fee of the towing. So yes, if you want to talk legality, and I'm not a lawyer, but legally speaking here, it was always right before. It's not right now what they're trying to do. It was right before. For the last 30 years, it was always right.
Hey,
You can take over
who's
there,
this?
Charlie. I'm sorry.
Hey, I'm on a Zoom call. What's going on, buddy?
Mr. Kelly from Quick Response was talking, yeah. Gordon Kelly. Can I hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. I think Charlie wanted to say something. What was Councilman Glover listening just now? Or was he on a Zoom call?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, buddy. That's what I was just trying to break down for Mr. Braxton, is that, it has been right all these years. And now they're trying to rewrite the law and take the S off the end. And if you look at the fee that it's been, okay, and I believe Charlie and I believe Tommy from Autobarn, much bigger companies than mine, broke down the cost of operation. And if you break down the cost of operation, 12 years ago, when things were certainly cheaper than they are now, we all know that, that 350 was accepted by everybody on the board, citizen at large, everybody, the chairman, Councilman Kern, that we drop our fee from 440 to 350 or 460, whatever it was, to 350. And we had no problem with that because we could still survive on that 12 years ago, and we can still survive on it 12 years later. But now they want to take the S off the end and say just part of the fee and double it and give that to us, which is like a third reduction in pay when all the prices of everything have gone the other way. We will have to go out of business, and hundreds, and I'm telling you, sir, hundreds of people will be out of work over this. And I'm talking 85% of the people that work for us, if not higher, are city residents that work for us. And I've talked to the other companies, and I believe Charlie and the bigger companies like Autobarn, they all said the same thing. The majority, if not all of them, our dispatchers are all Baltimore City residents. All of our drivers are, and my partner lives in the city. So we're talking a monumental thing right here. We're not talking about something that could just be, talked about for a minute. And a decision to take us back to 280. You're talking monumental. That's why 11 of us have not turned in our rate sheet. It's like, if we're going to go out of business, we might just go out of business, with a little bit of honor, because 280 is certainly not going to 350 barely pays the bills right now, to be honest with you. What we're going through right now in this world. We just got out of COVID. We got these tariff things going on now. Everything just went through the roof high. A tow truck went up a third in price in the last 2 years. It's killing all of us. But to take us backwards over taking the S off of fees, and that is truly how it was. And that's how I've heard it discussed in meetings with multiple chair people over the years, multiple attorneys, multiple council people. It was always fees, whatever the fees were. And then when they broke it down into the numbers and they saw how it played out, right, that we're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, which means we're staffed with drivers and people that work the office, all these hours more than what the city is, So our operating cost is 2 to 3 times as much as the city, and it's just, price of fuel is going up like Mr. Glover said earlier. Diesel fuel especially is at about $8 a gallon right now, and the trucks get 5 miles to the gallon. The tires, my God, they were $200 3 years ago. They're $400 a tire now, and you got to buy a round of tires like every month. And then just get the trucks getting beaten up the city roads. You know, we have to replace parts on them all the time. We have to have a mechanic here on duty 24 hours a day to fix the trucks when they're broken. You know, it's just, like I said, to put it all in short here, of course I made it long already, is that somebody about 4 or 5 years ago decided he wanted to take the S off of fees and double just the towing aspect of it and not the total fees, which everybody else voted on over the years. So for Mr. Diaz to say, oh, they got away with it for all these years, you're more or less underlining the intelligence of Councilman Curran and several councilmen before him that were on the board and the attorneys that were all on the board. They saw it the way it was. The state wrote it fees. You know, the fees that are incurred when you get towed into the city yard. Now, if you want to do his interpretation, which is a new interpretation after 30 years, you know, that it's just the fee of the towing aspect, that's where they get the 280. But the other part, which we're not even allowed, they don't even want us to charge it until way later anyhow, so we would probably never realize any of that money. But they don't want us to double the whole fees, which everybody saw to be law, you know, all these years. Like I said, lawyers, chairman, all that. But that's I think that's what Mr. Glover was trying to say between fee and fees. It's the fees that were doubled that broke down, and they broke this, took most of them to break this down, lawyers years ago, to what our costs were. And we all had to submit a form of what our cost of everything was, which took months to get it all together. You know, everything from the cost of the phones, to the trucks, to the tires, the oil, the gas, everything. You know, it got it to them. And that's what they figured would be fair with the hours that we work. The holidays are not a pass for us. We have to work Christmas. We have to work Easter. When we work on this Sunday, you know, that's what it was. All these years, all the past people said, oh yes, fees is what it is. Now somebody wants to change it. So no, they weren't doing things wrong all these years. They were doing things right all these years. Now they're trying to do it wrong. Thank you for giving me the time, Mr.
You get
Braxton.
that chair out of there. Bring it over there.
Thank you for the time.
No,
What
I
number
appreciate
is
it. I mean,
if they say number such and such total, what number is it?
I'm sorry, someone talking? Okay. Well, listen, I mean, I can certainly appreciate, you know, everyone's perspective. And just a correction, all 11 towers did not resubmit their fee sheets. 2 actually did that were compliant. But in saying such, you know, I don't want to belabor this issue. I think there are some issues that still remain outstanding. You know, it really boils down to, you know, because what this board does not want to do is to sanction any illegal practices. So I won't be responsible for that, and I won't allow this board to. However, I do intend to really get to the bottom of this so that we can advance the issue. But in the interim, I'd like to motion that we continue to abide by the terms of the 2024 licensing indefinitely until we can really hang our hats on the true interpretation of the law. Now, I'm not sure what that will entail, but I will make sure that we get to that point. So yes, I motion that we vote that we continue to abide by the terms of the 2024 licensing. Can I have a second?
Just to be clear on something, Tavon, the
Okay.
2024 election is at the fee of the 350, right? Because we don't want to.
That's
Again,
correct.
okay.
It's the existing.
Okay. All right, I second.
All right. So that's been moved and seconded. So my vote is yes or yay. Mr. James?
Yay. Yay. Yay.
Okay. I see I thought I saw Miss Neely join the meeting, but if not, Miss Turner.
I think Ms. Neely, she jumped on. I think she jumped back off, but my
Okay.
vote is yes.
All right. And Councilman Glover.
Yes.
All right. All right. The motion carries.
And one other thing, the motion carries, but what are we asking the tours? Being though today it was the day that they had to submit paperwork in, are we going to extend? I found a motion that we extend that paperwork.
Yeah, that's what this is. This is the continuation under the terms of the 24 licensing, currently indefinitely until we're
Okay,
able to
cool.
rectify this issue.
Yep, got you. Thank you.
All right. I appreciate everyone's patience. This was tough. I guess I'll before we adjourn, I want to give Mr. Parrish a chance to to speak. He has his hand raised.
Thank you. I just wanted to clear because it's not just the word fees. The state law has never changed for Baltimore City. It's always stayed the same, 2110A, 1I. Twice the amount of the total, not towing, total fees normally charged. And that's where in the argument between the previous representative for the city council, he's always saying towing. Mr. Diaz is saying double the towing. The Attorney General's opinion that Mr. Scott got in April of 2022, the Attorney General confirmed that the towing, yes, was intended to be 2 times, that the initial storage and the initial admin fee, to which really we don't charge an admin fee, that's inclusive with our impound fee. We charge a notification fee. It's labeled as an admin fee, but it's actually a notification fee, which is done after 72 hours. But it's the total fee. And he kept wanting to say towing fee. The Attorney General even said that the towing could be doubled. He never in his conclusion or his 7-page, 8-page statement doesn't say that we're not entitled to charge the normal fee of admin and storage that the city does. If you add those up, we did the 130 when Councilman Curran and myself and Paula Pertani, we were the 3 that did a subcommittee before we went to the board. We did the 130 times 2, which came to 260. The $90, the 40 and 50 was an ordinary fee. That's how we came and agreed on the 350. Just so everybody's aware, that's how we came to it. So it wasn't just made up or a number we agreed on. It was following state law, along with an ordinary fee charge, total fee charge, not towing, not towing. The S was important, but they tried to change legislation in Annapolis, Councilman Dorsey's bill, to which they threw it out because they were not going to get involved in it. It wasn't an issue for them. They had no problem with it. So, and that was in 23. But it's total fees. So if we can, when we're looking at this, as you guys do, and I appreciate everything you do, don't focus on the S and don't focus on towing. It's the total fees that are charged. And that's how we came to that 350. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last words from quick response. You're muted if you're talking.
Yeah, I didn't even realize my hand was still up there.
Okay.
I really like, yeah, but I would just say, yeah, thank you for, giving us an ear or 2 ears, listening to us. And, hopefully we get a board together where we can get, a tow representative in there. And I apologize, Mr. Parrish, for not putting the word total in there. Fees, total fees, that's what it was. Total fees, not part of the fee. So that's the big difference here. I think bigger than any other issue here to grind this out is it double the tow and fees, total fees, I'm sorry, total fees, or is it double the towing fee, which it isn't. You won't find that in the law. But thank you very much for giving us your time today. Everybody's on here. Thank you very much.
No, thank you all. Again, appreciate your patience. We'll get through this. If no one has any more to say, we can adjourn this meeting.
I second.
All right. All right.
All right. Thank you, guys.
It is adjourned.
Everybody
Thank
have a
you
great
all.
weekend. All right. Bye-bye.